Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Gyrl podcast. I'm your host, Kyra Mitchell Lewis. Before we start today's show, I want to check on all of you. The last few weeks have been difficult and emotionally draining. As a Black woman, I've experienced a range of emotions. I've been saddened by the loss of George Floyd in such a senseless and hateful manner. Angry because this is still happening in 2020. I've been disheartened by those who refuse to believe that there is a problem and by those who continue to straddle the fence and not use their voices to fight for what's right. But on the other side of that, I also feel hopeful. Hope and optimism for those who have activated and are taking action to drive and demand change. Hope for those who are allies and are using their voices to drive change, and hope because I know God is still in the midst of everything happening in our country and that we are heading towards positive and lasting change. Thank you all for your support. Take care of yourselves and your family, and let's start the show. Welcome, and thank you for joining me today. With so many of us working from home, I know we probably said, I should start working out, or I'm going to start working out. Or maybe you're the person that even said, ooh, it's been a long time since I worked out. Well, and now you might be at the point of realizing that you gained the COVID-19, as they say. Well, my guest today is someone who is going to give you a little inspiration and some tips that can help jumpstart your physical journey no matter where you are. And he's definitely inspired me in my own journey over the last year. And because of him, I've even added 2-a-days into my schedule, which I would definitely say, has been great. It's a great way to step away from the work day when you are working at home, when you could just continue to work throughout, from the time you sit down to like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night. So it's definitely a good way to break the day with the midday workout. I personally have been someone who would work out and then I would lose weight, and then probably like 6 to 7 months I would stop because life got too busy. And working out, of course, is always the first thing that you give up. But in 2019, I made a commitment to myself to work on my physical health and to make a lifestyle change. Not just the change that would cause me, would help me to lose weight, but a change that would help me to become stronger and to build endurance as well. So I am delighted to bring you a very inspiring guest with a very amazing and inspiring story, Bryant Bilal, who is here to talk about his journey. And plus, he's going to give anybody who is still working at home, or if you haven't been able to get to your gyms yet, he'll give you some tips on some exercises that you can implement to jumpstart your journey. Hey, Bryant.
Hey, Kyra, how are you?
Doing good. How's it going?
Not too bad. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, good.
Well, thank you, and welcome to the Glow Up Girl podcast. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump in because I have quite a few questions for you and want to get to telling your story.
Okay.
So let's start with what motivated you to change your lifestyle?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a funny question because I'd been trying to change it for years. I grew up a heavy kid and always wanted to be in shape and lose weight, but it was just very tough. And I think the biggest motivator, was really a picture at Disney World when, I this was back way before iPhones, but when the pictures came back, when they were developed, I was like, oh my gosh, I was happy in the picture, but I didn't see myself in reality, right? Like, you don't realize what you look like till you take a picture. So that was really one of the key moments that kind of jump started me. And then, it was really a kind of fortunate, I guess, a culmination of events where I had just gotten back in town, and this guy was selling magazines door to door, and I wanted Snowboarder magazine because I used to snowboard back then. And then for free, I got this Men's Health magazine. And so that's kind of what kicked it off. And I saw that picture at the same time and said, I'm gonna do this, and no matter how long it takes. Because in the past, I would always put like a 1 week time frame or a 2 week time frame or a summer by July 4th, and that just never really worked. So
right.
Those were really the two big motivating factors to change my lifestyle back then.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting that you said the picture, because that is exactly what pushed me to just get more active and more like committed to trying to change my own lifestyle. I saw a picture of myself at my friend's baby shower. And I was like, who let Grimace in the building?
You don't recognize yourself, right? And you're like,
right.
But it's like a sobering reality check, right?
Yeah.
And so that's never a bad thing. It's always good to be grounded in reality.
Oh, definitely. Because I think, we have this way of like dressing nice, or, getting a certain angle in the pictures that we take, or a certain, mirror in our own house. And even to this day, I have a mirror like in my house in the downstairs bathroom. That mirror doesn't lie to me. So
yeah, that's a great story. You want to surround yourself with people and mirrors who don't lie to you.
Exactly. So when you decided to start, what did you do first? Like, how did you get started? Because like you said, a lot of times people put time limits on it, and then people stop eating, right?
Yeah. And I've tried every fad diet you could probably think of. And, I think that the best way to start, honestly, was I read that magazine. I still have that one. It's over, gosh, at this point, it's probably 15 years ago. But I ripped out a page that talked about nutrition, and I ripped out a page about working out. And it was really, the nutrition was the start. Because I've lost 100 pounds, I've gained 60 pounds, I've lost another 55 pounds. And all throughout that time, I've always worked out. I've never not worked out. But whenever you see someone who's, physically changing, the workouts are part of it, but it's mostly the nutrition. And so, really the best way to start is to just have some type of plan, whether it's one you made up or it's one someone else made up, or a nutritionist or a coach or anybody, but you just got to stick to that plan and have it written down somewhere. I taped mine up to the wall in my bedroom at the time. And then I followed it strictly and said, I'm going to keep following this. Even if the first week nothing happens, even if the first month nothing happens, I'm going to keep following this.
Right. Now, I'm glad you said that, because that was another question I have for you, is because a lot of times people think that you don't have to have both things to work. Like, it's a lot of people like, oh, I can work out and I can stop eating for 5 days. But even as you get older and your metabolism slows down, you have to make that shift. And I would say, even for myself, for a really long time, I would work out, but then I still wanted to like sneak and eat. you
Right.
know, like what I wanted to eat. And it wasn't until I made a commitment to stop eating bad that I started to see changes.
Right. And that's really the main part of it. Oh, sorry about that. That's really the main part of it is you we want to make changes, but we don't want to change completely, right? So we want to do it the easy way, which is maybe a partial change or a half change. So
Right.
to really change radically, you have to be 100% all in, which may mean not eating what you used to eat or not getting the snack like you used to snack. And you're right about the age, like it does. It's a real thing. It's real in the streets.
Yes,
That
yes, it
I,
very much.
and they, I read that even if you're, and this is a lot of reading and a lot of learning, but over time as you age, you can't consume the same amount of calories you did when you were 18, even if you work out all the time. So it's just part of life. But
Right.
yeah, it is one of the most important parts, and even it's impossible to master. Everyone's going to falter at some point, but that's where the cheat meals really do help a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you're so dedicated. Are you on a walk now?
I'm outside, but no, not like walking. That was a car
Oh,
that beeped at me when I tried to cross the street.
no, you gotta love the joys of like taping, recording podcasts, because I'm always fearful that my dog Max is going to like bark out, and
Right.
I even gave my husband a warning because he had called right before. He's like, I'm on my way home, and I was like, whatever you do, like I'm gonna be recording. Don't come in the room.
Well, I was like, let me go outside because my kids are, like everybody else, their kids are home. Yeah, I was just saying that, I thought because my kids are home like everybody else's kids, and like you're a four-legged kid. I thought if I was outside it'd be quieter, but clearly I got cars honking at me, and I got the wind is blowing all in my face, so I'm gonna change locations.
Okay, that's
but
okay.
yeah,
But yeah, we'll keep moving. I mean, this is real life. This is how it happens.
yeah. I
Um,
need a studio.
you and me both, right?
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Like at least, I'm like in my third episode in on this, and the second episode I had somebody to drop off, and I'm like, look, that's just technology. I'm not
Yeah.
fancy. I'm not able to go back in and I'm going to connect these dots, and we'll keep moving.
Yeah, it's reality, right? Like we're saying,
Yes.
it happens.
Yeah. So as as you were starting, and you, like you said, you had the page on nutrition. So what did you start as far as, because there are a lot of meals out there you can buy,
Mm-hmm.
and so many things, and a lot of people, what I hear, and even for myself, is like the struggle of trying to figure out like what to meal prep
Yeah.
without eating the same thing. Like, because I was like, I eat the same, have the same lunch like
Yeah.
every day.
Yep. And so the first time I did it, that's what I did, and it wasn't easy, but well, I say it's not easy. It's easier to prep if it's the same thing every day, and it's easier to know exactly what you're putting in your body, but it may not be the most fun, right? So
Right.
so that first time I did it, I had oatmeal for breakfast every day. I had turkey sandwich for lunch. I had a protein shake for snack and a protein bar for another snack. And then I'd mix it up. Dinner could be any protein and vegetable. And I just would do that, very simple diet, consistent 5-6 days a week. And then on Saturday, I'd have a cheat meal. And then Sunday, go straight back into it. So that was this, the hardest part. I mean, the working out is hard, but that extreme consistency was what I had never done in the past.
Right.
And once I did that for, I'd say about 3 months, I probably lost the first 30 pounds, and then you start to build this momentum, and you can kind of get a little bit more flexible. And, instead of oatmeal, you'll have eggs and other healthy foods. But, it was really trying to change my mindset to looking at food as fuel and not just enjoyment. Food absolutely is enjoyment to me, but only on Saturdays. Right. That's the trade-off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's, everyone's different. Everyone needs to find their own balance. But I know I personally had to look at myself, because before I had an unhealthy relationship with it. I would eat when I was happy. I would eat when I was sad. I would eat when I was angry. And I would eat to feel better. And so, that very boring meal plan, quote unquote boring, I should say, right? Boring maybe to some, but not to others. But that very boring meal plan was to help break my mindset and look at it as just nutrition and fuel, not necessarily every meal is going to be your, dinner in Tuscany, Italy with a glass of wine and, for your anniversary. Right. So I think but now, But I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, but now that's definitely shifted. So that was how I first started out. Now that I'm a little bit older, now that I have kids, I've been doing this a little bit longer. I've shifted from this, more protein heavy, Men's Health, that first diet I did, to now I'm a lot more plant-based, a lot less meat, still, very healthy carbs. All the carbs I get are mostly from vegetables. But yeah, it'll shift over time, and you can change what you eat. It's really more about making sure it's healthy, what you're putting in.
Right. And from a mental health perspective, because I mean, I think once, like you just said, you said you would eat when you were happy, eat when you were sad, eat when you were angry. I mean, how did you get over that hurdle of, consistent, maybe turning to what was normal for you?
It was kind of like removing the temptation. So I had to just not have those things in my house. So like, and me and my wife, we still argue about this to this day. If there's Oreos in the house, even if they're for the kids, I still struggle with that temptation if I'm having a bad day or if I'm frustrated to just go grab and eat a whole sleeve of Oreos. Easy, not even sweating. I've eaten a whole pack of Oreos at one point. And so it's the first step for me was just removing that entirely, right? So not even having it in the house. And then, that helps, kind of train your mind to break that mental state. So now, and it's taken years, right? It's not something that just happened to me, one big decision, but it's something I still fight with all the time. Just taking that disconnect to not eat emotionally. So I have a lot of chewing gum around that helps. Drinking a lot of water, making sure I'm not dehydrated, that helps. And then I think, learning how to communicate. So saying, talking about how I'm feeling instead of keeping it and trying to eat something to make me feel better.
Right. No, I think that's so helpful, because I think, a lot of people, and I'm glad that you're saying all these things and really being transparent with me and the audience, because I think a lot of times, so when people see you and they see, the Bryant today, people are going to be like, oh man, look, he's beast, but I think it's so important for people to understand the struggle and what it takes to actually get there,
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a struggle, and you're right. Like it's not like I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, right? But I think I tried to just show that anyone can do it. But it is, there are ups and downs, right? I'm starting to think it's me. I think it's me. I think I did
Brian,
that.
Brian, we're trying to get this good word out to people and your
I'm
good tips
sorry.
and habits. No,
I
it's all good.
I think that one was me because I talk with my hands and I probably bumped the phone and then I was like, oh no.
No,
So,
that's exactly me. And this time I was really trying, like I move, I'm very animated when I'm speaking as well. And last time my husband, when he listened to the last episode, he's like, oh yeah, I can tell you were in there like moving around and being animated.
yeah, that was that was 100% my fault. I was moving around and I bumped the phone.
It's all good.
But no, I try to be transparent just so people know like anyone can do it. It does take sacrifice, and it's not
Mhm.
something that it's not for everybody, and it's not even I may not even do this for the rest of my life, but it is something anyone can do. They just have to. It takes a long time. It takes a long time and consistency, but it's definitely possible. That's what I've really learned is nothing's impossible.
Exactly. No, I would definitely agree with that. So let's talk about, so you are also a runner, and I really enjoy. I love watching your Saturday IG stories of you, running through Atlanta. And I remember us talking about it a while back when you said you were like, "Oh, I wasn't always a runner,"
Mm-hmm. No,
and you, yeah. So we're going to talk about your evolution to where you are today, and running marathons now.
yeah. So I'd say I'll go all the way back. Like in I never was a runner at all, and then in high school I was probably about 220, and then started to play football and went up to 250, and I hated running. Anything we did was short distances and for football and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to the first time I lost weight, the 100 pounds. I couldn't even run because I was 275, so I had to first bike because my knees were so bad. I couldn't really run or walk a whole lot, so I would bike. Did that for months until I could graduate to walking, and then started to do like a high intensity intervals, which is like sprints. So
Mm-hmm.
that the sprints really help burn fat, keep your metabolism going. So the weight fat really sheds off when you do sprints. But was never a distance runner. I just hated it. I thought it was boring. I thought it was a waste of time. I thought it was just too hard. And then fast forward to 2018, one of my friends, he wanted to do the Halloween half marathon, and he didn't want to do it by himself. And I was like, well, I've never really run, but I'll do it with you. I'll run walk it. And then
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if I can do, I never thought I could do a half. And I was like, man, if I can do a half, I'll do the whole marathon with you too. And so then he was like, okay, well, we'll train virtually together because he lives OTP and I'm ITP. And so in Atlanta, that's, different ends of the earth. But I did the half with him, and then just kept the same. And it kind of goes back to that original thing we were talking about. I wrote out exactly how to train for the half. So I put October 13th was the date of the half, and then I worked backwards to the date we started, which was I think in I want to say it was like August. And I was just like, okay, this Saturday I run 3 miles, the next Saturday 4, the next Saturday 3, and just looked up a training plan and stuck to it, and then accomplished the half. And then I'm always a man of my word, so I ran the full with him. And then once you go from thinking it's impossible to doing it, you kind of get hooked on it. And so now I'll be doing my third this year coming up, and I've done I've done 3 halves and 2 wholes. And so right now I'm training for my third, and then hopefully after that I'll do a triathlon, and then do a couple triathlons, and then an Ironman.
Wow. Those are really big goals, which, I mean, you said something that really like stuck, where I think a lot of people struggle. It's just really having the discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just said, you were like, I wrote it down and then I backed it out, almost like you were planning, and you really, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I see so many people yearly who are like, I'm gonna do the Peachtree Road Race.
Mm-hmm.
And then as it gets closer, those people are like, well, maybe I'm gonna walk. And then the next thing you know, they're selling their numbers.
Right. No, that's true. And I don't know. I mean, maybe I have failed at this so many, from the ages of 8 until I think I was probably 20, or I was probably 20. From 8 until 20, I'd been trying to lose weight and never was consistent with it, never stuck with it. So I have many years of failing to get to where I think now, something in your brain says, if you don't stick to these things, you're not going to meet the goal that you want. And you'll end up being more frustrated or upset or sad that you didn't try.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. And definitely can relate to that, even just in my own story myself. Just, you lose weight and then after a while you're like, then you get lax.
Yeah.
And you start eating and you think it's okay. Like one day of cheat turns into 2 days of cheat.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, even if you're working out every day, but if you're not eating right, then you're going to gain the weight back. And so then you fall off. But it is like that thing that you have that epiphany, and for me, it was like I'd had a couple of surgeries. Actually, I'd had 3 surgeries and I had not been able to work out.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't eating well because I was like trying to recover. So I was just getting whatever I could get from, a hubby who can't cook. So, so the next thing I know, I'm like, oh my God, what happened?
Right.
And so, it's just, and then you just think about like, no, I want to live. Like I want to live a long time and I want to be around. So yeah, I think you definitely have to get to that the crossroad where you are really going to make a decision to change.
Right. And even if it's one that, your friends don't do, right, or that your significant other doesn't do, I think that's one of the hardest parts too, is when you have that I'm going to make a change, and then you don't put timetables on it, and then you don't put anyone, it's no one else's responsibility, right? So like even if my wife doesn't run, or my wife wants to do something different, I still have to put it on myself, and that is one of the hardest parts. But then there's other people who you can rely on. So things like you're saying, IG, or I'll text friends, or I'll go out with other friends or people I look up to, and just like, hey, let's go do this. Or, like the guy, like my friend Richard, who wanted to do the half. He didn't have anybody to do it with him, and he reached out. So like if he hadn't done that, he probably wouldn't have run it. I definitely wouldn't have run it. And both of us would be in two, totally different places right now. So it's
no, I like that, and I think that's an interesting point that you just made, because like my husband is of a thinner build. He does not like to work out. He wants to, but he's always like, yeah, but he's like, I don't have the discipline you have. Like, he's like, the fact, prior to us working from home, I mean, I would get up every morning at 4:30 to work out.
Holy cow.
And now I'm able to, I get 2 more hours of sleep, and I get up at 6:30. I think it's around the time when you're, I think you're up at 6. Yeah. I'm always like looking, and I'm like, I think Bryant's up at 6, and then I'm up at 6:30 working out.
4:30? So, oh my God. Okay. I'm inspired. Now I got to do better.
That was before. That was before we started working at home. But now I get at 6:30, but you inspired me with the 2-a-days. So that was my that was where I was going, next. I mean, I was like, look at quarantine Brian, he's in total beast mode. And so when I saw you starting your 2-a-days, I was like, you know what, I'm going to start working out at lunchtime.
Oh,
I'm going to
good.
do my cardio. So I do my cardio like at 6:30, and then at noon I do, like, Peloton has great like strength
Oh, nice.
like workout.
Yeah.
So I'm able to go up, and I've just been able to see, myself get stronger.
Good.
And I got a ways to get there, but I'm motivated because I see change.
Yeah.
And I see, and I'm always looking at you. I'm like, get it, Bryant. So
Man,
I
I'm
want to talk
so
about
happy for you. That's so good.
I want to talk about this beast mode, Bryant, and also these challenges, because I love to see your family when they join in, and you're like, you always accept the challenge.
Yes, I don't. It's part of our. My wife is very competitive with like video games, board games for certain. Like, we've lost friends because of game night, and it's in our family. I'm not as competitive when it comes to board games, but like I think because I'm in better shape now, I want to see where this goes. I just truly believe that nothing's impossible. So, like, doing the marathon, I never in my wildest dreams thought it was even possible. So now when someone says a challenge, I'm like, oh yeah, let's try it. Like, what's the worst? The worst thing that happens is I don't do it, but at least I tried. So,
Exactly.
I think the 2-a-days kind of stemmed, like you said, from not having to commute, and it just was, a way, I did, for work, I always got up at 6, and I didn't want to stop getting up at 6. And then the kids, I didn't have to take them to school or get them to school anywhere. So I had from 6 till 7, to do something. And instead of sleeping, I was like, well, let me just go. The first time I did it, I was just walking. I was like, let me just go walk on a treadmill. And then that turned into, well, the gyms are all closed, so I got to do some type of strength, like you said. And so, and then at night, and this is probably for selfish reasons, our kids go to bed at, around 8:30. If I'm not doing something, like usually a normal pre-quarantine, I would be at the gym from 8 until 9. But because of quarantine, the gyms are closed, so I was at home. So if I wasn't doing something, Kyra, I promise you, I would be eating. I'm 100%. In the nights I don't do it, I'm probably eating or thinking about it. So, that's how it turned into these 2-a-days where it's like, well, I'm going to at least do something besides snack and watch TV from 8:30 to 9:30, and then I just kept it up, and it doesn't have to be super intense every time, but it's I've been loving it. I mean, it definitely has been. It's been a weird year, that's for sure.
For sure. But it's definitely been it's just so nice to have that release.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you just realize, like, even though the workouts are hard, and I'm I'm almost like, oh God, I don't know if I'm gonna make it through, but just being able to push through it and get to the end, and just seeing small changes. Because I think we live in this world where everybody wants it to be instant gratification, but just being able to see, like, even from March 13th, where I, started, when I started really seriously trying to work on, like, strength, and just and seeing where I am today, I'm like, okay, keep going, girl. And just imagine what it could be in December. So that is like, like, I'm keeping myself motivated there as well.
Great.
And so what keeps you motivated to keep pushing and to keep going?
So I think it's like you said, tracking your progress. So, I have there's lots of apps you can do it. I use MyFitnessPal, but I've logged into that app for almost 700 days. Actually, over 700. Right now it's probably like 720. But every day I tracked, how much I weighed, what I ate, what exercises I did, and so what keeps me motivated is I'll look back at the previous week, I'll look back at the previous month, I'll look back at the previous year, and then obviously it's Thursday. Throwback Thursday always keeps me focused and motivated to know where I've come from.
Yes.
So that's always a good alignment. But it's almost like having that documentation, like you said, looking back to March, you see you're making progress. So that it makes you want more. It's like these small wins make you want to win. You get addicted to winning, and you just want to keep winning and winning and winning. And that's one of the big things. I think the other thing that keeps me motivated is my kids. I think just setting an example for them that not to be obsessive, right? Because sometimes I can get too hardcore and too obsessive, but also not so that they understand what is because I work in marketing, I know how commercials work. I know what
Right.
I know how packaging works. I know how advertisements work, and how all the cereal boxes that have tons of sugar are on the low aisles for kids, and things like that. But they live an active lifestyle way more than I did at their age. So they also keep me motivated, because like you said, I want to be around when they're older, and I want them to not have to have the unhealthy relationship with food that I did.
Right. So what type of so I've heard a lot of people saying, I've gained the COVID-19.
Yeah.
And and a lot of people are, just trying to get back out there, saying, oh, I want to do something. But a lot of people still, may not be able to get to the gym or may just be staying inside. So what would you recommend for somebody who's just trying to get back, jumpstart and get going again?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I would say, so take baby steps, but number one priority has to be hydration. So like, we're whatever, what is it, 80% water? I can't remember the real number, but you have to be hydrated if you're ever going to lose weight. It's just, it will not happen if you're dehydrated. The water helps boost your metabolism. It helps you, eat the right amount of portions, all the good stuff that your body needs. Water is number one. So, I would encourage anybody who's trying to lose the COVID-19 or COVID-20, take your body weight, and half it, and then try to drink that many ounces a day. You may not hit it, but that should be like the goal. So when I was like 250, if I could drink 125 ounces, which is a ton, right? That's four bottles of Life Water in it. Then I would be in good shape. So that would be number one. Number two is again, it's no nutrition based again, but it's just get all the temptations out of the house. So all the snacks and candies and treats. And I have like a picture where we took them and threw them all in the trash, dumped all the soda out, threw out all the chips, out all the, and I think have fun with it, right? Like take pictures of it, because you want to, again, it goes kind of back to that documentation. You want to remember that day when you threw out all the stuff, or when you started to drink all the water, because you'll look back and it'll make you smile that you made the choice. So those would be the two biggest, and then, if you're going to do workouts or diet or things like that, for my personal diet, I do try to do more vegetables. I do intermittent fasting now. So I started out doing 12 on, 12 off. Now I do more like a 16-8, but whether you intermittent fast or small meals, or even just your traditional meals, just make sure you're entering, the right amount of calories. That's your input. So an app that can track what you're eating, so you can see exactly how many calories you're eating. That's also, my big three tenets.
Okay. No, those are all excellent, and I think they are all achievable.
Very easy to do.
So yes,
the keeping up with it, that's the hard part. But anyone could do that right now, and it'll only take 10 minutes. Just go throw out all the stuff, download an app, put in what you ate for
Yep.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks. Go grab a bottle of water and try to start drinking it. And that's
Yep. Or even buy that big obnoxious jug like I have and drink that, because but that's what keeps me honest.
Right. And you don't have to keep going all over to fill it up, right? You just fill it up
Right.
once.
Yes, one time. And then I just drink it and drink it and drink it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like who knew I could drink so much water, right?
Did you ever think you could drink? And then you do it every day, right? Did you ever think you could
Yeah,
do it every single day?
Nope, not at all. Because I just kept thinking like, oh my God, I don't like water, because, it's like everybody's like, it doesn't have a taste. Like, but it's hey, it's the key. It's definitely the key.
It is. It really is.
Well, Bryant, I have to tell you, this has been awesome, and I'm just super excited, like thrilled, waiting for this discussion. And when I asked you, and I was so glad that you said yes. And also, guys, he has also shared videos with us, and I'll be posting those along with the podcast. And we're going to take these tips that he gave us just to go ahead and get them up on the blog so that you all have them and you get going. So, Bryant, thank you again so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
And for all of our snafus today. I think this has probably been like the most fun episode that I've recorded so far.
I'm so sorry about the snafus. That is my novice is coming out. It's my fault.
No, it's all good, but you've been amazing. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye.
Wow, what an inspiring story from Bryant. And if you want to take advantage of his tips, please visit our blog at glowupgirl.com, and we'll post these to our social channels as well. Before I go, as I always do, I like to leave you all with some glow inspiration. So today I pull from a George Bernard Shaw quote: "Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything." Thank you again for listening. Be sure to visit us at glowupgirl.com or find us on social media. And until next time, stay focused, fabulous, and glow up.